Nebula. So here we are again. I'm now moving a little bit away from the Lagoon Nebula here. I was over that way earlier on, and I'm now heading toward the Cat's Paw Nebula. I want to get toward, is it the Cat's Nebula? Cat's Paw Nebula. Cat's Claw Nebula. Cat's Paw Nebula. Even we can seem to be able to get right inside that, which is good news. But it's still quite a few jumps away before we actually get there. So I'm just going to plot another 1000 light year course. Still a long way away. Let's try here. A little bit too far. This should just about do it. No, still 1 light year too far. Come on. There we go. That will do the job. We're going to head in this, roughly this way. And I've had kind of more routes selected. We want fastest routes selected. There we go. Now we can get going. So as you can see, I'm getting a little bit closer to the galactic core now. That is the ultimate aim, getting in the centre of the galactic core, and I think, if I'm right, the name of the black hole there is Sagittarius A. I haven't seen that yet. In fact, I haven't been anywhere near the black hole, but just have a look at that for a second. That is a gorgeous view, if ever there was one, isn't it? Got to take a screenshot or two of that, I think. Let's see, let's position the camera just so. There we go, a couple of screenshots, I think. The nice thing about the debug camera now is that when you go outside your ship initially in the debug camera mode, the camera is above your ship and facing forward, and that means you can take unobscured screenshots of the galaxy. It's nice when you get little areas like this. In fact, before I head off anywhere, I might get a little bit closer to that sun and see if we can get some better screenshots. I hope the voice levels are okay on this. I'm talking a little bit quieter today. I've got a bit of a strained voice from doing these live streams. I'm new to it all, so hang on, I don't want to go into hyperspace. I'm new to the streams and it's had a little bit of a mess around with my voice. So I'm going to fly toward the sun here, and you look at that, and it's going to be a rather nice screenshot, I think. Also adds some nice videos. Sometimes I try and get a bunch of the video I record here and edit it. Oh look, crikey, I'm coming up upon that very, very fast. Whoa. Yeah, fuel scooping complete, alright. Didn't mean to get that close. Well, the downside is that as I've got closer to the sun, as I've got closer to this star here, it's actually caused the galactic core to dim slightly out of view due to the amount of light coming from the sun. It's sort of obscured the galactic core a bit, which is a bit of a shame because that's what I wanted to get the screenshot from. Let's try coming back round and have another look. Oh no, that's not too bad, is it? I think we could probably get a little bit closer. Slowly does it. I think that will do. Let's go out to the debug camera and see what that looks like. What do you think? The colours from the galactic core are a little bit too diminished up this close, but I'm going to take a shot anyway. Looks nice. Maybe even better with a ship in it. How's that? So we get up, put the camera down, up. I'm going to try and get the ship and the camera in at the same time. Maybe there. Let's try again backwards a bit. How do we go back? We use the reverse throttle. The debug camera's nice, but it's not all that intuitive to use, that's for sure. Maybe over the other side would be better. There's a sort of grainy filter over the top of the camera, I think. That didn't used to be here. I'm going to get around the other side of my ship, I think. So basically the camera flies in the same way your ship does, it would seem. First time I've really used it like this to position anything. I want to try and get a nice screenshot. Like I say, it's a lovely background, lovely backdrop. Shame to miss it. Lakon, some Lakon logos there on my ASP. Let's not go too far to the edge because the wide aspect ratio on my monitor distorts the sun. Don't mind it too much distorting the ship because I can handle it a little bit better. I guess that'd do. That'd do. Let's move on. Yeah, as you get closer to the galactic core, you can get some rather interesting views from it. But for now, we're going to move onwards. We're heading toward the Cat's Paw Nebula, which is quite a few jumps away, but I'm going to be stopping off in between every time I find something decent to look at. That's the Lagoon Nebula, that's where I've just come from. And look how bright the stars are out here. They're slightly brighter than what you see in the civilized systems. The scattering of the stars is fairly different. Before I go anywhere, I want to see what this system looks like, just in case there's anything of value here. And no, they're all junk planets. No, I don't want to drop out of warp. I want to go into hyperspace. I've got the jump button bound to the same key for supercruise and for warp. I guess I could have moved around and got that part of the nebula positioned with the sun. That looked a bit better. Done now. I'm going to get going. I managed to refuel anyway. I went through about 5 systems where I was unable to refuel from the sun, and I got down to about a quarter of a tank full of fuel, and I was getting a little bit worried and I would end up stranded out here, but luckily I come across a sun that I could actually refuel from. Only 2 objects here, so nothing worth looking at. I'm going to head straight to the next system. Sometimes you do a number of jumps and that's pretty much all you find, sun after sun. And then other times you find some very nice things. Earlier I saw a system I found 3 planets that had candidates for terraforming in them, one of them of which was the water world. So a very valuable system. And on top of that, that was all inside of a nebula, which gave it a nice touch, gave it a nice feel. Nebulas are pretty much tourist attractions now in the game. They're the destination most explorers head to first. Wonderful places to see. My favourite being Bernard's Loop and Energy C7822, which I'll show you on the map a little bit later on. So I'm going to have a quick look at this system before I move on, just in case there's anything of interest. Look at all those gas giants. So as I go along, what I'm actually looking for, I'm looking for an Earth-like planet. That's sort of top on my priorities. Above that even would be an Earth-like planet with a ring system, something I haven't seen yet. But I also want any type of ring system that's right near the sun, because when you get a ring system that's right on top of the sun and you drop off into that ring system, you get some absolutely fantastic visuals there, some really wonderful things to see, especially if they're ice asteroids. And you can see a system similar to that if you go to the Pleiades Nebula. There's a lava planet with a ring system around it, and it's right on top of this huge blue-white star which casts all this blue light over the environment. And of course you're amongst all these asteroids, and you can really get some stunning sights there. Really, really nice. Can't remember the name of that system off the top of my head, so I'll have a look there and let you know what one it is. But it's in the Pleiades cluster, which if you're in civilized space is only about 450 light years away, so you should be able to do it in pretty much any ship. I did half the journey in a Sidewinder, and as I got to the last outpost in civilized space I purchased an Eagle and did the rest of the journey in that, and that was during the first days of Gamma, so not many people had actually been out that way at that point. I'm going to do a quick scan here and then I'll show you the system I actually mean. Nothing found. So one of them nearby was Atlas. It wasn't Atlas though, the system that I'm looking for. That's just the one that I remember. This was the one here, Seleno or Seleno. If you look at this system, you've got this massive sun here. Really nice, lovely light that comes from it. And then you've got this lava planet, metal-rich lava planet, which you can see the semi-major axis is 0.09 astronomical units, which means that a planet is only around 5 light seconds or so away from the sun, more or less right on top of it. And of course you've got this wonderful icy ring system. I think it was icy rings anyway, it doesn't actually mention that there. But yeah, you drop off into this and you'll get some of the best screenshots you're going to find anywhere. Lovely views. Another place to head toward if you like sites like that is NGC 7822, which is a red nebula. It's full of blue-white stars, and the nebula is so dense that you can't see space outside of the nebula, and you can't even see any of the stars or even the galactic core. All you can see is that the nebula and the stars that are within the nebula. So a very unreal area of space when compared to most of the other places you see in Elite. Not to mention that all the systems there have a whole ton of stars in them. Many of them have something like 20 stars per system, and you can often find more than one black hole. In some cases black holes orbiting very close to suns, even black holes orbiting black holes. A lot of combinations out there. And that's NGC 7822. It's a few thousand light years away from the solar system though, so that takes a little bit more of a journey to get to, and you probably need a ship that can do over 30 light years to get there, because some of the jumps are a minimum of 30 light years. You might not be able to get into that nebula without that sort of jump. Now, talking of jumps, this one seems to be taking quite a long time, so it's possible... Oh no, we're here. I was getting a little bit starting to wonder if we were going to get disconnect there. Doesn't happen very often, but happens from time to time. 9 objects discovered. Refueled. What have we got this time? Again, I'm looking for a gas giant. That's right, a gas giant with a ring that's near the planet. I'm looking for high metal content planets, and I'm looking for Earth-likes and water worlds. Not necessarily in that order. These are all ice worlds, or possibly maybe rockier ones, but most likely ice worlds. Nothing that is worth the effort to fly over to them. Now I'm heading toward the Cat's Paw Nebula. I don't think we can actually see it from this distance. It may be that nebula just there in the centre of my HUD. It will get increasingly larger as we get closer toward it. It's a sort of a reddish brownish nebula, so a little bit different to the Lagoon Nebula which I was actually in just now, which was green. The next nebula after that I'll be heading toward is another NGC nebula, and that's got a lot of blue and purple tones, and I haven't actually visited a nebula like that one yet, so that will be interesting to see, but it's quite a long way off. For some reason the ship has taken a little while to refuel there. So what have we got this time? 23 objects found. What really stands out here, you're looking for, or I'm looking for, planets with an atmosphere around them, and they look very, very slightly different. I think that one's got a little bit of an atmosphere. You can see it as a sort of atmospheric scattering, a type of halo or an aura that's around the planet, which is absent on these ones. The gas giants sometimes have it. You can see a little bit there. It's very distinct on this one here. So when you're exploring and you're looking at the system map, planets you want to head toward are the ones that have that atmosphere scattering around them. None of these moons have it. None of this has it. That gas giant is a very small one. This gas giant has a huge one. So generally speaking, although not always the case, but generally speaking, planets with an atmosphere are the ones that are more valuable, and they're the ones that you're going to want to be heading towards. And yeah, over there now you can see the nebula. That's probably where I'm heading towards. The navigational plotting sometimes takes you a little bit around the houses to get you to your destination. You weave left and right and up and down and whatnot before you actually get there. But as long as we get there, that's the main thing. So yeah, this is my second major excursion out into deep space. It's the first one where I head toward the galactic core. The previous one was away from the galactic core, the complete opposite direction. And I was actually out there between 4 to 5 weeks, literally, so it was a long time before I got back to civilized space. This excursion I want to be quite a bit longer, but earlier today I did take a bit of damage to my ship, and every time you take a little bit of damage, that's a few days worth of travel knocked off your journey. It means you're going to have to turn around at some point to head back. That's if you want to keep the data you've discovered. If you're not worried about the data you discovered, then just blow yourself up and head straight back. I'm going to stop my ship here because this is an interesting system. It's talking about planets with an atmosphere effect around them. Now it does depend whether these have been discovered by anyone else. If you're the first to discover them, you get a 50% bonus on the reward. But now look, this one here has definitely got an atmosphere around it, and this is almost certainly a high metal content planet, and potentially it's one that's also a candidate for terraforming. Over here, these are pretty much chunk planets. I think some of them may be high metal content, so it's a toss-up whether you want to actually spend the time travelling toward them. But these here, these planets are going to hold some value, and they're also going to be quite interesting to look at, especially this one. I like the look of this one because I haven't quite seen one before in that colour. Seen these, plenty of these, seen plenty of these, seen a few of these, but this is a little bit more of a rare looking planet. And we've got a very small planet out here. I'll say small, it's 1.7 times the size of Earth, but it's actually got a ring around it. So depending on how far this sun actually is away, let's have a look. It's Semi-major axis is 278 astronomical units. An astronomical unit, for those of you that might be wondering, is the distance that the Earth is from the Sun. So these two suns are 278 times the distance of the Earth from our Sun from each other. So it's going to be a lot of light seconds to there. This one will be much closer. It's a little bit further away from our Sun than the Earth is, so that's about 700 light seconds or so. I will go there, but I probably won't go to the other Sun, despite the fact that it's got 5 planets of high value near it. The travel time to get there is bordering on the ridiculous, really. I can do a lot of jumps in that time and be a lot closer to the destination I'm seeking to get toward. Depends on your objective, really. If your objective is to make money, then you want to scan all the planets you can scan, possibly scan, detailed scans that is. But if your objective is sightseeing, then you need to pick a destination, and you really just want to head that way, because otherwise it's going to take you forever to get there. So let's head back down toward that Sun, and we're looking for the first orbit ring around the Sun, which is here, and somewhere around that ring will be the planet I'm seeking. There it is. So we'll head there. This should be a high metal content planet, so it's worth having a look at. Definitely worth having a look at. The detailed surface scanner should kick in pretty soon. I try not to fly towards these things too fast, because I have a tendency to overshoot them, and then you just spend a bunch more time circling back round again. So I prefer the slow approach rather than the fast and furious approach, but that's just me. But yeah, this should be a high metal content planet, and it should look somewhat interesting, and it should certainly have some value. Right, my velocity is picking up a little bit there, so I'm going to start slowing right down. The detailed surface scanner has kicked in. Now, sometimes I like to get close to these things to have a good look at them, because sometimes they have some interesting visuals. Other times I don't like to get too close, and yeah, as I said, it's a high metal content planet, and provided I get this data back before anyone else, I'm going to get the discovered by tag on this one, because no one else has discovered this planet yet. I'm the first to see it. So the fact that us lot here are the first to see this planet, let's get up and have a slightly closer look at it, because what you're going to look at here no one else has seen before, and that of course would include the developers of Frontier, because the game is all procedurally generated. It means every single planet is different, even though they do look remarkably similar to each other. They're by no means identical. So this one has got a slight green tint to it. I wonder what that says about its atmospherics. Or is that more of a blue tint? Either way, it's not the sort of colour I normally see on this planet. It's similar in a way to the way Mars looks, but it's got a blue sky rather than a supposed red sky. So let's have a look at what the system map says about it. Well, as we said, it's a high metal content planet, which means it's valuable. I was hoping it would be a candidate for terraforming, but it won't be. Probably because the atmosphere type is methane, which we cannot breathe. Methane, nitrogen and ammonia, not a pleasant place to live on. Let's just go back to that map quickly. So this other sun here, which I was just mentioning, is, well, probably a couple of 100,000 light seconds away. Let's have a look at the nav panel. Yeah, 270,000 light seconds. Safe bet that I won't be going in that direction. It's a good 20 to 30 minutes of travel. Maybe about to do it in a quarter of an hour, but don't think travelling in that direction for that amount of time is particularly compelling viewing, and it's not particularly compelling gameplay either. So let's go on and see what we can see in the next system. Maybe we'll get lucky enough to find a whole bunch of nice planets like we're in this system, but ones that are within a decent reach, rather than ones that are right at the other side of the galaxy almost. At least that's what it feels like sometimes. Earlier I come across a system with 3 stars. As I come out of hyperspace, you know, you get that effect where the sun zooms up at you, or you zoom toward the sun rather. Instead of just one sun, it was 3 suns, and it was quite a surprise. Really nice. Sometimes I've seen it with binary star systems. It's one of the few times I've seen it with a trinary star system. And we cannot refuel here, so not a problem at the moment. We've still got plenty of fuel. 12 objects here. Let's see what they are. They're nothing. It's purely an asteroid belt. Well, that means we jump into the next system straight away then. Occasionally we'll get a whole run of these suns where we can't scoop any fuel from, and in those events the fuel in your tank keeps diminishing constantly. When I get down to about a quarter of a tank, I start to worry a little bit. But I just change my routing from fast routing down to economy routing, and that means I can make a lot more jumps on the fuel I've got remaining. Better give me a chance to find a star to refuel at. Some of these jumps seem to be quite long. Oh, another sun we cannot refuel at. "17 objects. Maybe there's another sun in this system. Well, there is another sun in this system, but it's not a scoopable sun. Now, it did say 17 objects, didn't it, the scanner? But the system map is only showing 2. Can we see there? Nope, we can't see the info pad. Maybe I'm going crazy and it didn't say 17. It's going to say no new objects discovered anyway. This time, oh no, it's telling me 17 again. For some reason, it didn't register the first time. So we've got a few planets or objects right up close, but they're all relatively pink. And as odd as it may be, you sometimes get pink planets on the system map. This one's got a bit of an atmosphere to it. Perhaps we go to that. Sometimes you get pink planets on the system map, but when you actually get to the planet itself, of course it's not pink. But I think that would be nice to see. I don't see any reason why there wouldn't be any pink coloured planets out there. I don't know if any of you have ever tried out Space Engine. Google search for it. It's basically a program which has a complete universe in it, multiple galaxies, and you can check trillions of planets in it. Every single planet you can conceivably think of, and it also has seamless planetary landing on it as well. So you can come across a planet like this, fly up to it, descend down into the atmosphere, and then find a mountain or a valley to stand in and look up at the sky, an alien sky at that. And if you happen to do that on a planet that has a ring around it, you'll find yourself standing on a mountain, looking up at the night sky, or even the day sky, and seeing these huge rings cast right across the sky. And even better, Space Engine actually supports the Oculus Rift, so you can stand on these mountains on an alien world with the Oculus Rift virtual reality headset on and look up at alien skies. And well, as at best of times, virtual reality can give you the impression that you're actually there, so you can imagine what it feels like standing on an alien world. Pretty impressive. So that was an icy planet not really worth the bother, and it certainly wasn't pink. Certainly wasn't a pink planet. I'll show you there on the system map before we disappear. Look, the pink planet that when we went to it was actually blue. It's probably pink on here due to the light that's being cast by the sun. At least that's the excuse I'll use on Frontier's behalf. Perhaps who knows why it's actually pink in reality. So am I going to be able to scoop some fuel this time? We're down to half a tank of fuel. If not, the next jump I'm going to be getting close to 1/3 of a tank of fuel, which means I'll be getting a little bit low and that little bit closer to being stranded 5,000 light years out into the depths of space. And this is even darker still. As you can see, the stars are getting progressively darker, and that, I'm sure, is just to torment me. The first ones were very bright and unscoopable. The next one were a little bit dimmer and unscoopable, and as I keep going, they're getting progressively darker, aren't they? Hopefully you'll be entertained when I actually get cast adrift in space with no fuel. So another system with a bunch of pink planets. Right, this will be the last jump I do on the maximum jump range of my ship. The maximum jump range of my ship is 31.7 light years, so this jump here represents the furthest my ship is actually able to jump in this particular region, and it's going to eat another chunk of my fuel. Maybe it will be a star I can scoop fuel from, in which case I'll continue on this route. If I can't scoop fuel from it, I'm going to have to drop down to economy. I can't even say it. Excuse me, economy routing, which means my jumps will be 2 to 5 light years or so a time. And here we go, another star we cannot scoop fuel from. It's starting to get edgy of your seat stuff, this. I've had this only once or twice before. The last time was after 5 weeks out in space. Had 5 weeks worth of collected data, hundreds and hundreds of planets and stars, cracked canopy. My hull was very badly damaged, and I thought, you know, it's time to get back and sell this data, because I'd like to be able to sell the data. I'd like to be able to get the cash for it, and I'd like to be able to get the rank rewards for it. But as I got closer back to home, I found a bunch of systems exactly like what I'm experiencing now. System after system of stars that I couldn't scoop fuel from, and look, nothing else here but this solitary class L dwarf star, which I can't scoop any fuel from. So maybe the next star I can scoop from, and maybe I can't. This might give me some indication. The star is a T8V. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about my stars to know if that is actually scoopable. I do know you can scoop from G-type stars. L8V. So, you know, I'm going to go to my destination over here, which is toward the Cat's Paw Nebula, as I said. Let's pick any route here would do, and I've got to change my routing to economy routing, which instead of being just 20 jumps or so to that destination, which I was going to be 25 jumps I think I had left to go. And you can actually see when you run out of fuel, because the line here will become broken and actually become a dotted line. And let me show you that. We've got a solid dotted line here, which means on the amount of fuel I've got left, I can actually make it 900 light years using economy routing. Now, if I'm to change to fast routing, you'll see the line have become broken, and that means I'll have no fuel for that leg of the journey. And I'll go all the way back, and I'll show you at what point, assuming I can't scoop fuel, the system tells me I'll run out of fuel. And as you can see, I've only got one more jump left. At that rate, the system might, well, that's 100 light years, that's a couple more than one jump, that's about 3 jumps. So on fast routing, if I'm going to do 30 light years of time, I can only do 3 jumps. If I'm going to go to economy routing, I can probably do close to 100 jumps or whatever it tells me. Let's have a look. I've still got under the up every seat, much shorter jumps, and I don't run out of fuel. But of course I will be able to refuel within that space of time. Let's see how many jumps that says. It tells me 267 jumps, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'm not going to sit here and do 267 jumps, but I am going to need to do whatever amount of jumps I need to do to refuel, because my tank is getting a little bit empty, and at the maximum jump distance I've only got 3 more jumps left till I'm on empty. So for now I'm going to have to do short jumps and try and find a star that I can refuel from. Maybe this time. What's this? 6 stars in a row now I've been able to refuel from. 5 or 6, isn't it? I don't want to be cast adrift out here. I was determined actually not to take any damage on this ship, but a bit of inattention earlier today, and I got a little bit too close to the sun and got some heat damage. And guess what? Another sun I cannot scoop any fuel from. What is going on? Do not get yourself trapped out this way. And a lot of pink planets. The pink region of death, that's what this is. The region of pink planets with the soulless suns that have no life-giving energy in them, at least in terms of what it can provide our ship. And we are going to run on empty in the end. Just a 5 light year jump. You can see it barely uses any fuel out of my tank doing this. So economy routing for the win, but economy routing will also take you forever to get anywhere. But I couldn't risk any more max jumps there. Don't want to get stuck out this way. I'll show you actually in a minute where I am, how far I've got from Earth. What do you reckon this time then? Am I going to get fuel? Or am I not going to get? I'm not going to get fuel. There's the answer. No fuel here. Thank you very much. There's not even any other stars in the system that I can scoop from. Look, more pink planets. What is it with this region and pink planets? Let me just show you where I am then in relation to Earth. There we are, 4,600 light years from Earth, so I don't really want to be losing fuel out this way and getting stranded. Unfortunately it means not a lot to see until I actually get some fuel and can get back on schedule with the jumping. But this is what happens from time to time. Okay then, let's see, maybe this time. And not this time. We are getting lower and lower on fuel, and we have got no way to get more fuel because all of these horrible stars with their pink planets are not letting me refuel. Why have they all got pink planets? That's what I want to know. Pink planet after pink planet after pink planet, and when you actually get to them, they're not pink, are they? It could be any other colour. Let's keep going. Another short jump. Come on, you can do it. Get me some fuel. Get me some fuel. I want to get back. I want to get back on track. Hi Astro. Yeah, tell me about it. This is exactly what I went through on my last excursion out into space. Although in that case it was on the right way back. Yeah, I can do 200 jumps, but the thing is, you can have a region of space that's 200 light years across with stars like this, and you might go through 200 systems and you could end up with 200 small little planets like this. Statistically, it's perhaps not that likely, but it is a possibility. But I'm convinced we'll make it. It's just a case of sitting here and waiting. Yeah, RNG, and it's pink planets. You know, look at this. That gas giant, it may be a bit pink, but that's damn lovely. When we always see as blue gas giants and red gas giants and brown gas giants, I'd love to see a pink gas giant like that. So I'm actually going to go to this one. That's just too tempting to resist, isn't it? Got to go to it. It's only 1,000 light seconds away. I know it's not going to be pink when I get there, but you know, you never know. Maybe it is. Well, I don't use keyboard and mouse that often. I do use it occasionally. I'm using an Xbox control pad right now. I've got a HOTAS stick as well, a Cytec X55, which I use a lot. I love playing with that. But it's not that easy to do streaming with, because obviously you've got a bunch of other windows to watch. I've got my mic here and mouses to watch, so I like to use the Xbox controller when I'm doing this, and it's a lot easier to manage everything. So that's the third orbit ring out. I've actually been travelling away from the sun the whole time I've been talking. Third ring out. I want 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go look at that gas giant, see what it's all about. Just to break up the jumping at the moment, because I'm jumping after jump without any fuel. Let's see if there's anything else we can see. You never know, do you? Maybe it'll be a pink gas giant. Odds on that it's not a pink gas giant, no, eh? We're getting closer. What do you reckon? Pink gas giant? Brown gas giant? Blue? I reckon brown. Maybe white. Maybe a white gas giant that looks pink because of the light that's coming from the deep red sun. Even though it won't look light here, even though it does in the system map. But then maybe pink. Be an awesome discovery if it was pink, wouldn't it? So not particularly large planet anyway, as the detailed surface scanner has only just kicked in. It only tends to do that on the smaller ones. Maybe I'm heading towards the wrong one here. Let's see in a minute. If it was a gas giant, I'd be expecting it to be seen a lot larger by now. Yeah, I've gone toward planet 5. We wanted planet 3, I think, didn't we? There's a fourth planet out, but 2 of them were orbiting each other. Let's head up a little bit away from the sun and try and orientate myself a little bit. So we've got the sun, got the asteroid belt, which won't have an orbit ring. We've got one planet here, which will have an orbit ring. These 2 won't have an orbit ring because they're orbiting each other. So it's the second orbit ring we want. Let's try that again then. If I can orientate myself toward the sun. A little bit difficult sometimes to follow the orbit lines when they're all at different angles each other. What's that, Astro? The buyback insurance on my ASP. Let's have a look. Not too much, but my ASP is worth quite a good chunk now. As I say, I want the second orbit ring. Let's just align myself to that, and then we'll have a look at the value of my ship and the buyback costs. Right, that's where I want. nearly 4,000 light seconds back the other direction. So yeah, the buyback cost of my ship is 700,000. I've got 3.5 million, so enough to rebuy, and I'll probably use the 2.5 million that I've had left over to do a little bit trading to resupply my funds in the event of catastrophe. My ship is worth only 22.5 million, and that is purely the value of this ship. I haven't got any other ships or assets anywhere else. I've got no cargo, so my asp that's the value of my asp. Quite a significant chunk of money, really. Going a little bit too slow to get anywhere. Of course, all this back and forwarding is also using up a little bit of fuel, but nothing too drastic, I'm sure. Let's hope this is the right planet. There's the star, that's the first one. There's probably another planet in between these two orbit rings. Yeah, there they are. Look, see the twin ones there? Just above my seat. So this has to be the right one there. For some reason, twin planets, the planets that orbit each other, don't have an orbit ring around the sun. So that can be a bit deceiving when you want to choose a specific planet to fly towards. Bit of a distance here. The surface scan hasn't kicked in yet, so it's probably a fairly small gas giant, even though it looks quite... oh no, there we go, just under 1,000 light seconds. The detailed surface scan has kicked in, so yeah, I'd say the gas giant here is of quite a significant size, and I need to start slowing down. But the question is, the big question is it gonna be pink? We know it's not, don't we? Anarchy, class 1 gas giant. Please be a pink planet, come on. That'd make my day. It's looking a bit dark, isn't it? Now that's a little bit unusual, isn't it? It's not pink, but it's got a nice white stripe around the centre. Don't often see them like that. But why couldn't you have been pink, darn you? Let's go see then if we can get some fuel. If I can find my course. That's where it is. Lock back onto that, and away we go. Away we go. So yeah, I can do 260 jumps on the amount of fuel I've got going, but that's only if I do 5 light year jumps, which is not going to be the way I actually want to get to the galactic core. I think we're probably coming up for 8 jumps now, maybe 9 jumps without a sun I can scoop fuel from. Like I say, it depends on the size of the region of space that actually has this type of stars. If it's got a huge radius to it, this region of junk stars, then I could be in trouble. Could get stuck. I don't want to get stuck. Then again, it's not just the worry of getting stuck, it's the case of having to do lots and lots of small jumps. I don't want to do that either. And this jump is going on and on and on. That's because the game is trying to find a junk star for me on the other end here. It's switching and swapping. Oh, I'm going to get disconnect one way or the other. What do you reckon? Come on. You know what? I'm going to find myself in the next galaxy over. Nope. Another rubbish star. What on earth? What on earth? And nothing on here. More pink planets. Perhaps I'm going in circles. Groundhog Day. Maybe next time. But we're getting treated to a nice view of the galactic core here, aren't we? I'm getting closer to it. Look at the layers of galactic dust there. At least that looks nice. Now, one of the reasons these jumps actually take longer than usual is when you're in a region of space that no one else has visited. What actually has to happen is that the servers need to generate those systems. Ah, here we go. This one we might be able to fuel from. There we go. Thank goodness. Had to be sooner or later. Not going to go 200 jumps without one of these, are we? But it was just a question of how many jumps it was going to be. I didn't want it to be too many. What was that? 10 jumps without fuel refueling at all? Quite a few. And now I've got to watch the heat, haven't I? Because I can normally refuel without having to worry about the heat, because the fuel scoop refills me up very rapidly. There we go. Let's fly away. Wait for it to cool down, and I'll need to make another pass at the refueling. We cool down a lot faster now than we used to, so that's something. You might notice my hull is down to 98%. That's because I took a bit of heat damage earlier today. I got a little bit too close to one of these suns. Got pulled out of warp and took some damage. Very early days in my expedition for having damage like that. You might think 2% isn't much, and I have got some repair modules. I'll make sure I bring a whole bunch of them. So how many have I got actually? I think I've got 3 repair units. And some of this stuff is actually down a little bit. Like I say, you might think 2% damage isn't a lot, but I'm only into my second day on this excursion, and I actually want it to be at least a 60-day trip away from any station. And in fact, I should probably put a counter on the stream, shouldn't I, saying days since docked or something like that. What do you think would be the best way of saying that? Days since civilized space, days since docked, which I'm now at day 3. I think we'll put a little counter up to let everyone know at a glance how far or how long I've been out in deep space. Days in deep space, perhaps. Put something up there anyway. Hang on, let's stop a second, because I don't want to do another 4-year jump, a 4 light year jump. I'm gonna have a quick look at this system. Maybe there's something nice here. A gas giant that is about 600 light seconds away from the sun. I'm actually looking for a gas giant that's a lot closer, because that would look rather pretty. Got to change my navigation back to fast routing, because I'm not doing 270 jumps to the end of this line. I'd rather do it in 20 or 30 or so. Any one of these would do. Look how tightly knit these stars are over here. Bear in mind how close I'm zoomed in. Some of these stars are very close to each other indeed. In fact, let's have a look. 289, 291, yep, they're just 2 light years apart from each other. And of course, that's going down that way, so in a straight line, it's a less distance even than that. That should probably be viewable as a very tight-knit cluster soon. As we get a little bit closer, you'll start seeing a dense grouping of stars. But whilst we're here, have a look at this cloud, the cloud in the centre of the galaxy there. Look how wispy it's starting to get and how large it's starting to get. There's a couple of nebulas there set against it. It's starting to look rather different, isn't it? As we get closer, that's going to start occupying ever more of our field of view of space. Pretty much all of space will look brown by the time we're there. Anyway, 31 light years. Did I look at this system to see what's here? Oh yeah, it was gas giants, wasn't it? But at least we're away from those accursed pink planets. I'm going to say that, and the next system is going to be full of pink planets, isn't it? So yeah, if you ever get a chance to try Space Engine, and if you ever do actually want to see some pink planets for real inside a game, try out Space Engine. Oh, yeah, look at this. A wonderful space experience you can have with that. And in fact, I mentioned yesterday I'll probably do a stream of Space Engine at some point in the not too distant future. Is it going to be pink planets? I'm not saying anything, I tell you. What do you reckon, Fire Wasp? They put some pink algorithms into the RNG? Might have been better to have gone up and over this region of space, to be honest. I might actually plot a slightly different course. I'm going to do a couple more jumps. And if it continues on this trend, I'm going to go upwards away from the galactic plane and then come down on the Cat's-Paw Nebula. We might get to see something a little bit different if I do that. Because at the moment I'm heading in a straight line toward it and it's all a little bit the same. It's all determined to suck me in to dreaming of pink planets. And another system we can't scoop fuel from. I should have kept some more accurate count, but I think there's 14 systems so far and only one of them that was scoopable. One more jump, maybe two more jumps, and I'm going to have to go back to economy routing again. Go back to economy routing before I run out of fuel. So one scoopable star out of 14 or whatever it's been. Not a lot, is it? That was certainly the odd planet now. All of these have been dwarf stars like this one. So that is that. I think I'm going to have to replot a new course. Yeah, unless there happens to be a different sun in this system, which is possible. There does happen to be a different sun in this system, but yet again it's not one I can scoop from. So what we're going to do, I'm heading over this way for those of you that have just joined. Heading over this way towards the Cat's-Paw Nebula. Actually then going toward NGC 6357 through this lovely layer of black galactic dust here. Look at that. I don't know how well that is showing up on the video though. Maybe if I zoom out a little bit you can see that layer of black galactic dust passing by. I'm going to get to this purple nebula there. It's a rather large nebula. Has a whole bunch of stars inside of it, so we should be able to get some great viewing in there. And then it's going to be onwards to the galactic core, but for now I still want to get towards the Cat's-Paw Nebula, which is that way, but I'm going to have to plot a course upward, I think, upward in relation to the galactic plane. upward and then back down again. Let's go up a bit higher than that. It's only 62 light years up. Let's go about there, I think. 100 light years upwards. Where's that Cat's Paw Nebula? It's up anyway, isn't it? So it doesn't make too much difference in the short term. Go up and over. So let's see if we can get some fuel again. I was kind of hoping to get a larger fuel tank for my ASP. This one holds 32 units of fuel, 32 tons of fuel, or whatever the measurement is for it. But it seems to be the largest tank you can actually get for the ASP. Would have been quite nice to have had one twice the size, and I would have taken a slight reduction in jump range if I could have had that. Oh, and immediately the moment I head in a different direction, we get a star we can scoop fuel from, and this star is on its lonesome. No new astronomical objects discovered. No new astronomical objects discovered. Let's make sure we don't overheat. But I am going to keep on that path. I will put it back to fast routing again. But I'm going to still head upward and over and then back down on the Cat's Paw Nebula. Because obviously going in this straight line, which I've been doing for a couple of hundred light years now, is netting me a lot of dwarf stars. I would like something a little bit more different to that. So there we go. Hello there, Wishna. Yep, streaming again. Thank you. Nice to see you here. Right, let's put this back on fastest routing. And we want to go up. Where's that Cat's Paw Nebula gone? There it is. We want to actually go up this time. Up, 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 up. Yeah, let's keep going up. Where are we at? Oh, I want to go up a lot higher than that. Let's try that. Let's try that. There we do. So we're going up quite a bit. Up, but slightly forward at the same time. Actually, let's go forward a little bit more than that. Otherwise we're spending a lot of time purely going up and not getting any closer to the destination. About there. That's still 400 light years. Does that get us any closer? Could probably do a bit more, I think. Now the reason I'm going up is because I don't really want to run into too many more brown dwarfs, because I can't skip fuel from them, and all this short jumping is eating into the time it's taken me to get to the Cat's Paw Nebula. Really, Greg? You don't think it was worth the effort? Was that one of your first exploration trips, or have you been anywhere else? I actually don't mind too much, really, what I expect to find there, because I'm going through a lot of nebulas on the way to the centre of the galaxy, and I'm going to go right through the galaxy core and come out the other side and keep going. So it's only sort of a mid-term goal, the galactic core. It's assuming I don't get too much more heat damage. You know, guess what? Another sun I cannot scoop fuel from, and yeah, it's not a brown dwarf, so at least there's that. Hello Merton, nice to see you. Found planetary forming regions in our own galaxy, is that, Merton? think, was it you I was talking with yesterday about that? That it'd be nice to see the stars being formed and planets being formed in Elite, if we could discover systems like that with planets that were still in the early days of formation, and even suns perhaps in the same state, as well as ones that are at the end of their life. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. If that's the way it actually is for real, maybe Frontier will go ahead and do that at some point. It'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see these big systems that are still in the very early days of formation. Oh, this is a little bit better, isn't it? Some systems we can actually scoop fuel from. What do we got here? Well, we got white planets now. It's a step up from constant pink planets. Let's keep going for a little bit longer. Yeah, the core systems do definitely seem to be densely packed, so I can imagine that there may not necessarily be a huge variety there, but I'd imagine there's also a lot of light there and a lot of different combination of things to see, and that's what I'm actually interested in. Not really any one particular object itself, but rather the combination of objects, how they're positioned in relation to each other. That's what makes for nice sightseeing. For my own enjoyment anyway, from what I actually like. VY Canis Majoris. I can't remember now if I've actually been there. I'll have a look in a minute. Can't remember what part of the galaxy it's in. Let's have a look now before I actually jump. I may have been there. Canis Majoris. If it's away from the galactic core, chances are I could well have been there. And no, I haven't. As you can see from the no system map information. Where is that in relation to where I've actually been? Oh, I've been to Bernard's Loop, but it's actually the other side of Bernard's Loop. I went to Bernard's Loop and then around this direction, so didn't go there. I did go to EZ Orionis though. Let's see if we can see it. It's a real standout huge star right here in the Orion Nebula. Now, since a recent patch, the giant stars don't actually stand out as giant stars. You actually see them as big glowing balls, didn't you? They're easy to just click on and select, but that don't seem to happen now. But that's the Orion Nebula. If any of you want to go there, whole bunch of stars tightly knit, packed together. EZ Orionis is the largest star around this way by far, and obviously you can't really see it on here now because they seem to have removed that ability, but it's gigantic. I was 2,000 light seconds away from it and it still literally looked probably as big as that was that on my screen. Massive, massive star. Yeah, there's a few of them. Merton, a few nice large stars. One thing I would like would be the ability to get closer to some of these large stars. I understand you've got all the heat factors involved, but the scale of them I think would really be quite significant if you could get that little bit closer. What have we got this time? 26 objects discovered. That's quite good. Maybe it's something we can stop off and have a look at. anything of value here? All unexplored, no discovered by tags on them, but it don't look like any of them metal content planets. A couple of them with a slight atmosphere though. I'm going to do another jump. Another jump and we'll see where we're at. At least we're getting plenty of suns we can scoop fuel from this time, which is good news, isn't it? Good news. Do another scan. So the Lagoon Nebula was a lovely place to visit. Spent a little while in there. Just unfortunately there weren't too many systems that you could fly around inside the Lagoon Nebula and get some real good views of it. But we did get some good views, especially one very nice one from within a ring system. How close is this gas giant? I want a gas giant with a ring system that is right on top of a sun. In a minute, if I can find it, I'm going to show you a very unusual system I found. Oh really? Have you actually been to that nebula at all yet, Merton? I'll have a look again on the map. I love to look at the nebulas anywhere we can go to, especially if it's in this general sort of direction. I'm more than willing to head toward. Another fairly long. I'll have a look in a minute to see where it's located. If it's in this sort of direction, then I'll go there. Hopefully it's not in the opposite direction to where I'm heading. 10 objects discovered. So two things I'm going to look at quickly on the galactic map in a minute. One is the nebula that Merton has just mentioned there, and another is, if it's not actually been changed, I want to show you one of the most unusual systems I actually come across in my travels. So let's have a look at the system map here, see what we've got where we're at. Look at this, we've got a planet that's got high metal content around it, so I'm going to go there because that is going to have some value to it. That'll be worth doing a detailed scan on it, and of course I'll get the discovered by tag. Let's have a look where that nebula is. Have I spelled that wrong? This nebula, possibly Frontier haven't put it in the game yet as that, with that name. Let's have a look at the sun instead, which of course it does find, but is it going to be in the centre of a nebula? Nope, for some reason Frontier haven't actually put that inside a nebula. Bit of a shame, but I know they are still adding nebulas as they go. So 5 million times brighter than the sun, can't imagine that. It's absolutely crazy, that is. Just imagine that. Right, give me a second. Let me switch away from the galactic view there. So I'm going to keep the camera steady for a second. I won't be moving around. I just need to look up a system name. Hello there, Milky. How are you doing? Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to look for this unusual system I found a little while back. Right, I've got the system name here. So it's going to depend, of course, on whether Frontier have actually fixed this, because there's a possibility it was actually glitched. Oh, it's a rather large name. Let me see where I can. Are you exploring too? What direction are you out in, Milky? You looking for anything of particular interest, or just waiting to see what it is you can come across? Oh, look, trying to copy this name here. I'm going to have to write it down. It's a rather long name. Give me a second here. I need a pencil. Normally got this stuff on my desk, but I've moved my desk all around, so I haven't got all the things to hand that I normally have to hand, which includes pen and paper, and I could normally copy and paste this. There's a bit of paper there. You could normally copy and paste the name, of course, but it's written, it's a screenshot, so I'm going to write it down. Or not, as the case may be. Nearly there. Let's try the other pen. It's always a way, isn't it, of a pen that don't actually work. So let's write down this name here. I know what you're thinking. You're hoping this is going to be worth your while actually seeing after the waiting. I assure you, if it's not been changed, if it still looks like it did when I went there, it is certainly worth looking at. Just writing down the name now. It's a rather long number, which is not the sort of name you're going to normally remember. There we go. Right, I've got the name, I've got the number, and I'm going to plot that into the galaxy map and show you what was undoubtedly the oddest system I come across. Again, assuming it's not been changed. As you can see, it's a really odd system designation as well. There we go. So I've got the right number, at least got the right system name. Quite a long way over, look, 10,000 light years. Let's see if it still looks the same. If not, I'll try and show you a screenshot of it. There we go. That was one of the most, or it actually was the oddest system I've ever visited. I missed your messages there, Merton, when I was looking for that number. Sorry to hear your computer died. It's a nuisance, isn't it? Yeah, I was kind of tempted, Milky, to go there as quickly as possible, but I'm taking the longer way round and going slowly. Yeah, whoa, that's kind of what I said when I saw it too. I think I probably got it on one of my Exploring Elite Dangerous videos, so I'll have to get the episode number and I can show you that one. Ah, yeah, you remember seeing it? You too? Now, the ring wasn't actually in game as it's represented here on the map. It was actually only around this sun here, and I couldn't actually get into the ring. I was hoping it would actually look like it looked, but there you go. Yeah, that's right, Astro. That was on one of the YouTube videos you remember. I don't remember which episode though. I've actually put a link below now in the channel description to my channel, so any of you that feel inclined to go and check out my YouTube channel, go and have a look. I've got a few other games I'm playing series of at the moment, but I do have a nice series that I've been doing with Elite with exploration. Now you remember that one. Why do you remember that one? But almost everyone remembers that one. I don't. What is it? Is that the one where they set up the new station, or is that something else? if it's something from civilized space, that's one of the things I tend to miss a lot of, because I'm always out in deep space, so tend not to see those things very often. 11 objects discovered. Good to go in. Okay. Let's see what those objects, discovered objects, are. Oh, right. Yeah, ridiculous map. Oh, look here. I reckon that's a water world. How far away is it? Oh, that's quite close. Just 4.5 astronomical units is the other sun. It's about 2,500 light seconds. Yeah, that's the other sun, I suspect. So I'm going to go toward that, because it looks like we may have found a water world. And just look at that. Look at the galactic core now. It's starting to look really nice. Let's head toward the galactic core then. Not the galactic core, am I talking about? That's the sun I was coming from. Shame I was travelling in the slight wrong direction there, but let's head toward that other sun over there, because it's already getting a detailed surface scan at this distance. I think there's going to be a water world around there. Alright, yes, I think I remember hearing about that one now, Milky. It's the closest system to civilized space with a black hole, isn't it? Is that right? Oh yeah, Merton, I've thought of the same thing. I'd love to see that, various filters and such like. If you could look at the galaxy in different light spectrums, you'd really see some insane stuff, wouldn't you? So excuse me there. A little bit of a distance there, but we're coming up on a water world, so I'm determined to check that one out. I'm not going to let that one pass by, especially after seeing all those endless pink planets and the wolves that I couldn't refuel from. What do you reckon? Definitely a water world? Who reckons it's a candidate for terraforming? That's also possible, isn't it? Yeah, Maya is a very special planet to me. It's the first system I went to in the Pleiades, and the Pleiades was the first nebula I went to as soon as they unlocked the systems in Gamma, allowing us to do there. Hi there, Swado. Nice to see you. Right, so this water planet then, was it the first one or the second one? I'm losing track now. It's the first one. So that's just over there. That's the one. Although I assume it's a water planet. It's got a lovely cloud layer on it, on the system map there. A lovely cloud layer. It could be a candidate for terraforming, which makes it a prize worth scanning, worth a fair chunk of money. I hear that Frontier have actually upped the reward now for planetary exploration, planetary discoveries. I've no idea what they've upped it to, because I haven't done any significant discoveries since they made that change. So yeah, it's a water world. Let's get in a little bit closer and have a look at that. Maybe I can get around it and have a look at the galactic core. Let's try and get coming from the different angles so we can see the galactic core behind that rather nice water world. Should give us a little bit of a nice view of it. Maybe a good screenshot too. Depends though, doesn't it, how much of the planet is going to be in the shadow. I might have to go right around the other side of the Terminator to get the galactic core into view as well, which would be a little bit of a shame, but actually that's starting to look quite good, isn't it? potentially got a great screenshot coming up there. A nice little site for everyone to have a look at. Oh look, and the nebula off to the side as well. I'm going to try and get as close to this planet as I can for this. So I think this is going to look quite nice. Yeah, I don't think I've been to the Crab Nebula, Merton. Yeah, I know about the 50% bonus discovery, so that in addition to the doubled up reward is good news, isn't it? That view of the sun. Yeah, I know, that's just exactly. I'm going to get a little bit close to this planet. I'm going to get it as close as I can. And then I'm going to swing round and get that planet into view as well, along with the galactic core. We should be seeing something quite nice then. Yeah, look at that. That's what I was after. We might have got a little bit too close though. Nope. Maybe. The trouble is with the wide aspect ratio, the planet actually distorts a little bit when you take it off to the side on the field of view. That actually looks quite good though, doesn't it? What do you think? Quick screenshot. Any suggestions on where to position the ship? Let's have a little look at the ship itself. See if we can get that in there as well. Let's back up a little bit. Get in there. Trouble is, I don't want that ship in shadow too much. Let's back up a little bit more. Don't know how far away we can get from the planet. There we go. Quite an interesting view there then. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Discoveries. Yeah, I know what you mean, Milky. You can spend ages out here just looking at stuff. Absolutely love it. So that is the water world then. And I suspect I'll get the first to discovered tag by. Although maybe I won't, because I'm not planning on returning with the data anytime soon. Let's move onwards.
Frameshift drive charging.
These suns now, when you're this close to the galactic core, and I'm still a long way from it, actually start to look really pretty. You think so, Astro? I'll post that screenshot. I only took it in my native resolution though, unfortunately. I don't want to risk taking a 4K screenshot while I'm streaming, because probably it'll make something go wrong. But I did take a screenshot, so I'll be sure to post that a little bit later. There's a little link to a gallery down the bottom which hasn't got a great amount of screenshots in it in the moment, but it's got a few of my better ones from around the galaxy, and I'll be sure to add that shot I just took into that gallery.
Fuel scooping complete.
Yeah, that's true, Merton. I didn't think I'd get many first discoveries on my previous excursion, because it was like I was out there a month. But I did end up with a whole bunch of them, so the only thing that would be nice is when you go to the galaxy map, if you could filter the view by discovered by, so that you could actually see some of the places you did discover. What was it I was going to do there? Was it something someone suggested to me? I think I've got sort of an idea in my head about something I was going to do, and it slipped my mind. I can't remember what it was. I do like looking at that galactic core from this angle. The clouds looking really nice. Let's see if there was something over here. So yeah, as I say, I've put a gallery down the bottom where I've got a bunch of screenshots, some from the Pleiades, some from Bernard's Loop. There may be a few there from NGC 7822, and of course I'm going to start adding some screenshots now from this region of space too. Let's get going.
Drive charging.
So now we're away. Yeah, that's it. I can see all the galactic dust now. It's starting to look really good. I'm heading up at the moment, but that's to get away from all those dwarf stars that I couldn't refuel from. Once I've got to the Cat's Paw Nebula, I'll head toward the nebula behind it, and what I'll actually do then is I'll fly down into that dust layer and try and get amongst it as much as we can.
Fuel scooping.
Oh really, Milky? It's a well-travelled route, isn't it? I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise.
Scooping complete.
Fortunately, so far for me, coming out this way, everything has been undiscovered so far, although look
Fuel scoop.
at the distance of that next object from this sun. It's a long way out, isn't it? Nothing much going on there.
Frameshift drive charging.
I should probably actually put that other map in the gallery as well. I don't think, you know, the system map I just showed you, I don't think that's in my gallery. It probably should be.
3, 2, 1.
Probably it should be, because it's a bit of an unusual system, isn't it? Be nice to find some out this way. That was in the 2 mass cluster actually, and there's a whole load of decent systems out there. It's quite an unusual region of space. Let's go and have a look what's down here. Excuse me for a second, I've just got a little message here I've got to deal with. That's it. Sorry about that. There we go. All dealt with. Let's go about refueling and seeing where we're at.
Fuel scooping.
Oh, there's an unbelievable amount of stars out there, isn't there? I think no matter what, we're never going to get them all discovered.
Complete.
The globular clusters above and below the galactic core. Are they really not there? There's a number of things that don't seem to be here. Yesterday I was mentioning the comets, which you can actually see as discovered when you come to sell your data at Universal Cartographics. You can actually sell comet data, but of course comets aren't actually in the game, even though it would seem their data points actually are in the game. So hopefully they're not too far away, and at some point we will start getting comets. Don't go that way then.
Frameshift
Let's
drive
do another
charging.
jump. Be kind of interesting to know how far up you can get from the centre of the galaxy, how far above or below you can actually go, what sort of distance. Obviously as far as the furthest system I'd imagine, but I don't actually know what that distance is.
Fuel scooping.
There's quite a lot of objects in this place. Maybe a lot of them are asteroid belts.
Fuel scooping.
We'll have a look. Or maybe it's something nice to have a look at. A load of asteroid belts with a lava planet stuck between them. That lava planet is insanely close to the sun. Should we come around and have a look at that? It's about 5 light seconds away from the sun. Yeah, look. really close. I want to try and get there. This is similar to the one I was talking about earlier in the stream. There's actually a lava planet like this out in the Pleiades Nebula, which is a similar sort of distance away from its sun, although in that case the sun is a blue-white sun, and the lava planet actually has a ring system around it. So you get right in with the rings there and right up close to the sun at the same time. Quite close. Not sure if I'm going to be able to get yeah. I think over time though, Merton, then anything's possible. I think Frontier are quite keen on getting extra content added into the game. At the moment they seem to be concentrating on ports to various other systems, but once they're all done and out of the way, I think nothing's out of the question really. Let's try and get a view of this out in the debug camera. These are the sort of views that make things interesting, aren't they? What do you think? Still getting used to controlling this camera here. Takes a little bit of doing. Or maybe I'm just a little bit rubbish at it. You get an idea of what you want to capture in mind. It's a bit like with photography, you know what you want it to look like, but actually getting it is sometimes a little bit tricky. So I like getting shots of the asp in here, but it's difficult to get the asp's canopy in as well when you get above the ship, because the nose of the canopy is actually down quite low in relation to the top part of the ship. It's about as best as we're going to do there, I guess. How's that? One more shot. There we go. Just can't leave things like that. They just look too good. So that was a high metal content planet. Something got a little bit of value to it. Let's continue onwards.
Frameshift drive charging.
The Cat's Paw Nebula, where I'm heading toward, actually looks like one of the smaller nebulas. It does have a few stars in amongst it, but we'll have to wait and see what sort of view we actually get when we're there. Some of the nebulas are really outstanding, and the vividity of the colours they have, and other of the nebulas are rather dull.
Fuel scooping.
Difficult to tell until you're actually inside of them. Another system with a whole bunch of objects.
Fuel scooping.
Let's see what we got this time. Look at all the orbit lines.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
Another planet with an atmosphere. This will be a high metal content planet for sure. This one possibly, you can tell by the patterns in the surface there, although it may just be a rocky one, but I suspect I'd lay odds on at 65% odd chances that that's a metal content. This one, I'd say with 100% certainty is a metal content planet, and it always has the potential for being a system for a candidate for terraforming should I say, it's 4 planets out. I will go have a look at that. Merton, I'm going to be sure to do that. That's definitely one of the things I want to do. And I'm starting to see slight variations as I get above the galactic core here. I'm only going slowly, but got a little bit up. What I'll probably do is go to that Nebula NGC 63 something or other, which is getting toward the galactic core, and then I'll go inside the galactic core, and then as I leave it I'll fly right up above it rather than through it, because I think that would be great to see. What planet was it? Was it the second one or the third one? That was the fourth one. Fourth ring out. There's 2 rings there really close to the sun, isn't there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I didn't actually need to travel this far out away from the sun to get the view I needed. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. In this case I didn't, but here we are. At least we know we're heading towards the right planet rather than just a random one. I'm not really stopping off to scan every single valuable planet here because it does add significantly to the travel time, but anything that's right in the way I will do my best to actually scan. I don't want to avoid things that I can get if they're right near me. Longest I've gone without docking is about 5 weeks. That's playing more or less every day. With the odd break or two of a day or so here and there, but pretty much, yeah, five weeks without docking. This time I want it to be longer. And I was mentioning earlier I want to put a counter on the stream, mentioning how many days without docking. I was kind of wondering how I could phrase that. Just literally say days without docking, and then have the number next to it, or days since docking. How do you think I could phrase that? Just a little text box down the bottom middle or the bottom left or something, with a count up, seeing how long we can actually go without seeing a station at all. So as soon as people come into the stream they know exactly what's going on. This one's actually quite pretty, isn't it? Look at the cloud formations on it. A few too many storms maybe, but yeah, 5 weeks. Yeah, and that's the thing, Merton. Have you noticed my hull damage? It's down to 98%. It was 100% the last time you were watching. I made a stupid mistake and got a little bit too close to the sun. And took a little bit of heat damage. I don't mind doing that, but it's early days really, and this trip out to be taking any type of heat damage at all. That's not a planet for terraforming, but it is a high metal content planet. Days in transit. Yeah, that's not such a bad idea, pseudo. Days without seeing any form of... Yeah, days alone. That's a little bit depressing for a wasp. Kind of funny as well. You can actually put a countdown, can you? Days to madness. And have 100 days to madness. 100 days in space. The days in transit's not too bad. So I toss up at the moment then between days in transit and days since docked. Days since last docked. Which currently is only at 3, but on my lowest excursion it would have been 25 or thereabouts, so I want to try and get as close as I can to 40 or more this time. Maybe 50. And my maths are way off there, aren't they? There's not 5 days in a week. Days in the abyss. Yeah, I like that.
Fuel scooping.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about using voice attack, Merton. I do own it. I did used to use it before I got my HOTUS, but as soon as I got that I stopped using voice attack, but it makes things kind of interesting, doesn't it? So who knows, maybe I'll stick voice attack on here at some point.
Frameshift drive charging.
Yeah, space madness. How many days does it take to go mad away from civilization?
3, 2, 1, engage.
Be quite a lonely trip, wouldn't it? Days out into space, totally on your own. Be terrible if you run out of fuel or sat there with a canopy that was on the verge of cracking. It'd be a bunch of nervous wreck. Well, we're getting much better stars now. We're away from those dreaded pink planets and their dwarf stars that I couldn't refuel from. So going up definitely seemed to be the right idea. It's a little bit nerve-wracking when you're down to around about a quarter of a tank of fuel. Even though, as was mentioned earlier, if you go down to economy routing, you can do well over 200 jumps on that amount of fuel. It still means it's going to take you a blooming long time to get anywhere. Nope, there's no way to recover any lost scans if you blow up, and that's the risk you take, Fire Wasp. I think exploration is probably one of the most risky professions in the game. Some people say it's trading, and yeah, certainly it is trading when you've put all your money into your cargo hold and you go out without any insurance or any way to recoup your loss should you explode. That's definitely risky, but I think far more risky is going out into deep space, going out there for 5 weeks without docking, and in some cases more, scanning thousands and thousands of systems, and then limping back with 20% hull and an extremely cracked canopy and not knowing whether you're going to actually make it back or not, and knowing that if you do explode you will get a very quick one-way trip back to the station, but you'll also have absolutely none of your scan data at all gone. And of course, not only is the data gone, that also means your discovery tags will be gone. You won't be getting them, you won't be getting the money, and you won't be getting any boosts to your ranking, because an explorer doesn't get boosted in their ranking bit by bit. You actually get it in huge lump sums, generally speaking, if you do a lot of exploration in one go. So all of that would be down the drain. Well, the problem with trying to dock more often is you have to really plan your routing, and I mean, let me show you. Let's have a quick look at this system. Oh yeah, there's another metal content planet there. Sort of. The longer you're out, the more systems you can see. So the more systems you can see, the more money you're going to get. Although at the moment I don't think there's any benefit for scanning systems that are further away. You get the same amount of money for scanning a system that's 40 light years away as you do one that's 4,000 light years away. But here I am with the blue arrow is, and Earth is all the way over here. So 4,000, nearly 5,000 light years away. And of course all these dots here, the colours represent inhabited space. The closest station to me is 4,700 light years away. So if I was to head there now and not stop off and just keep jump after jump after jump, I could probably make it there in about 5 or 6 hours. That would be just purely straight jumping. So not worth going back that way just for docking, because I've then got to come out all this way again. I'll probably just closed my navigation route there though, didn't I? Yeah, I agree, Merton. There, the Anaconda's an expensive ship, especially for doing cargo running in. How far we got to go? This is where I'm trying to get to, and look, we're getting very, very close now. 746 light years. That's about 20 jumps or so, so that shouldn't take too much longer, and hopefully I should be able to get it done in this stream. Let's have a look. 25 jumps. Try not to stop off too much, and we just get there. Hopefully you get to see the nebula. Look at the galactic core now. All those layers of black dust. That's just lovely. Yeah, I'm still a long way from Sagittarius A, but definitely a huge bright object there that you still can see. I'll swing around in a second and we'll try and get a closer look at it, because we are getting a little bit closer now. 5,000 light years away from Earth, so the galactic core looks a lot different way out here to what most of you will have seen when you're inside the core systems. Just going to fly away a little bit and you'll see the galactic core getting brighter as we get away from this star. We should start seeing all the lovely little bits of cloud layer there and all the black layers of galactic dust, which is what we want to see. Sometimes you see that sort of stuff inside a nebula, and that's when it really does start to look good. So there we go. Look at the layers of black galactic dust there. Let's come out and give you a slightly better view. Looks a lot more interesting than when you're in civilized space, doesn't it? Quite a nice view. And over to the right there, which I've just scanned by, there, right there in the middle, looks like that may be, could that be the Cat's Paw Nebula? I think it may well be. I think that's possibly where I'm heading toward. Let's do another jump. Headlock was stuck on there. A black thing. The black thing in the centre there. That's one of the nebulas, I think, heading toward. Let's have a look. NGC 6 something. That's this here. NGC 6357. That's actually why I'm heading after the Cat's Paw Nebula. I think that's what we're looking at there.
Frameshift drive charging.
Another jump right down into the galactic dust layer as we go.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Assuming it's not going to be an overly long jump sequence. We're there alright, no problems.
Fuel scooping.
That's alright, Merton. Easy mistake to make. I think it was standing out quite starkly against the background there, wasn't it?
Complete. Fuel scooping.
It certainly looked darker than what most nebulas actually usually look like on the background. But especially there, look, it's pure black.
Frameshift drive charging.
So I'm actually coming down now, so the downwards in relation to the galactic plane. I was actually went up slightly above it there, and to get to the Cat's Paw Nebula I've got to come back down again, so the layers of galactic dust are going to start to look a little bit different again as we get closer to them.
Fuel scooping.
22 objects discovered, but unless we've got an Earth-like there, I'm going to keep jumping because I want to get to that nebula.
Drive charging.
I'm not going to stop off metal planets anymore. I'm only going to stop off Earth-likes and water worlds. And I say that, and look at all these. Oh no! Let's see if we can abort the jump sequence there. Nope, that was a shame. There was a metallic planet there with a ring system around it. That would have made quite a nice thing to see. Not to worry, I'm not going to head back now. I want to get to the nebula. That would have made an interesting sight though, wouldn't it?
Fuel scooping.
But I think we've got much better sights ahead inside that nebula. We are getting there.
Fuel scooping complete.
No objects discovered in this system.
Disengage. Frameshift drive charging.
Yeah, I'd have liked to have seen both them. My Joggle. That and the other one.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
A little bit of a shame. I jumped a little bit too early there. I was a little bit too eager to keep jumping and get toward the wherever it is I'm going, Cat's Paw. Unless of course you want me to go back, I will turn around and go back if you really want me to, though I don't know what the name of the system was now, so if any of you caught that.
Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
Funny, isn't it, though? You actually sit there and say, right, I'm not going to stop off anymore for those worthless metal planets like these ones, and then suddenly you have some awesome looking metal planets which, too late, they've gone by.
Frameshift drive charging.
Those are the sort of things you come out this way to actually see. Still, maybe we'll see something like that inside the nebula. Anything is possible. Excuse me.
Fuel scooping.
7 objects discovered. I'm sure there's not going to be any metal planets with rings here, and brown dwarfs with rings, which we unfortunately missed a moment ago.
Complete. Fuel scoop disengaged.
Okay then, I might not be streaming by that point. I'll be stopping before too much longer, but I will possibly be back on later in the day, so if you're about then as well, enjoy all, I'll see you then. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you being here. Oh, water world down there. Yeah, let's go see that. Should we go see the water world, or should we keep going toward the nebula? Wherever it is. assume it's that one there. What do you reckon? Go to the water world.